This is the story of living simply in Sicily. Why don't you come along with us and sing along the way? If you had a favorite group that you used to sing with, try and imagine you can still hear them now.
Hi, I'm Gigi.
And I'm Jeff.
And welcome to Living Simply in Sicily, almost.
Florida division.
We're almost there. So what we've done this past week is we've gotten our tickets, and we have a couple of tips for you to get your tickets. Because what we've noticed the last couple of years, things have changed slightly. And where you used to get round trip tickets, now it's either not affordable or the other way, returning is like outrageously priced, and the amount of time. Some of them are like 33 hours.
Yeah.
And we're like, this is crazy. So the last couple of years, we've actually gotten our tickets one-way flights and done better, or maybe like $50 more. Where it used to be one-way tickets were insane priced.
Right.
Now everything is different.
Changed. It's
Yeah.
all changed.
Yeah.
It's easier. The flights are shorter. There's a couple of flights you had to pick from, different
Yes.
ones that were.
Yes, because we used to want to just go get on the plane and then land where we were, even if it was like 20 hours later. And we realized that's just not for us anymore. We can't do that long. So we break it up.
Yes.
And we have also learned to always have more than an hour when you land at the airport that you have to go through customs.
Yeah, it's an hour. An hour is not enough time if you're changing planes, changing flights, that kind of thing, to get to your final destination. At any one of your stopover flights, let's say, you want a minimum of 2 hours.
Yeah,
a minimum.
Yeah, and we've been really enjoying getting off the plane, walking around.
Right.
And it just seems like we don't get as much jet lag that way when we get off the plane, and I don't know what it is, but something is a benefit to breaking up your flight more often. So we'll be flying from out of Fort Myers, which used to be a crazy price.
Yes.
We used to always have to go to Tampa or Miami or
Right.
up to New York. And to drive to Miami, which we used to,
Right. 3 hours.
is too much. So what we do now is we fly right out of Fort Myers, and we go from Fort Myers to Catania. Now, one of the tricks that we've noticed is if we search in an incognito way, you can just put a private thing on your settings where you can search for flights without them tracking you. It actually makes a difference in the price of your flights. And always do the search where you can look at the whole calendar, because if you can be flexible like we are, some days, maybe Monday is like $2,000 flight and Tuesday is a $800 flight. And this is sometimes the difference. It's amazing.
Yes.
So if you can look at the calendar, you can adjust where you can get the best flight. And always go for the shortest time on the longest leg. So once we get leaving the United States, because we have to go from Florida to either Atlanta or somewhere else.
Yeah, we're going to go to one of the major hubs, change planes, and then that may go to New York, and maybe Atlanta to New York to Rome, perhaps.
Yeah.
There's any number of combinations: Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Paris. There's any number of ways you can go about it.
Yeah. So what we did this time that we found, now that Alitalia is defunct, there's a lot of change-ups that's been happening. So we ended up using Delta. We tried to fly United, and nothing was working out that way. So we thought, okay, let's go with Delta. And I always like to don't book your ticket through like Expedia or anything like that, because if you run into a problem, it's horrible trying to get it fixed. So what we recommend is always do it through the airline itself. You can do it online, but just make sure that you can book through them.
And this has been our experience. Your experience might be different depending on where you live.
Yes, it's true.
And what airline you fly. You may have a whole different experience. But this is the things that we've noticed, that we've experienced. Delta has done a great job. They were partners with Alitalia, so flying Delta was an automatic kind of a situation where everybody knew what was required, what you needed, and it carried right through from the United States to Italy via Alitalia and so forth. So Alitalia is, like my wife just said, is defunct, but there is a new airline, a new Italian
I
airline.
couldn't see any flights from it.
Yeah,
so.
we're not sure what the status of it is at the moment.
So this time, instead of flying into Rome, which we would have with
Yes.
Alitalia, we're
Yes.
flying into
Amsterdam.
We're going to go from
Fort Myers
to Atlanta.
Atlanta
To Amsterdam. So the Atlanta to Amsterdam flight is only 7 or 8 hours, and that's perfect for us.
And you'd actually think it would be longer given the geography, so to speak. So it's kind of deceptive. It fools you as to what it is and how long it is. So usually, like New York to Rome is like 8 hours or so. That's a good flight. That route there. That's the longest leg of the flight and the shortest amount of time you're going to find. It takes that long to get from point A to point B.
And we find that instead of flying economy, just for like a little bit more, you can actually have a much more comfortable seat. You're able to choose your seat. You're able to get a free luggage, checked luggage, free carry-on.
Yep.
Whereas sometimes if you try to do the economy, it may look like a good thing, but you end up not being as comfortable. And if we're gonna, we're old. We want to be. That's hard. It's a hard journey to travel.
Yes, it is.
As we've gotten older, it's more of a challenge. But you can do it if you think of what your needs are. And for me, we just can't sit a long period. Anything over 8 hours, we start feeling really uncomfortable.
Start season up.
So, and we don't want any of that.
No.
So what we do is do these little tricks that we hope that if you're old like us and you need to travel far distances, check around. Make sure you look at the calendar. Make sure you look to see where the layovers are, that you have enough time.
Get on there and start searching. The first time you search, you'll see a fare that's reasonable, and you go, oh, that's not too bad. And then you go, I'll look at it tomorrow. Well, tomorrow you get on there, they keep track of you, apparently. And tomorrow you get on there, and that exact same flight you looked at yesterday is now like $400 more expensive than it was yesterday.
So you know what I've done?
So
I've actually looked at a different day over and over and over again. So I want to go the next day, and then I'll look, and that way it wouldn't be way down. So you have to
figured out.
Yeah, well, I try. I mean, it's an algorithm that these computers figure out how many people are searching for that day and how many people aren't searching for that day, and let's get those people to move over here. And it's just how it functions. So if you start thinking that way, or just go incognito, and then it can't track you anyway. So that will help. And make sure you have that calendar so you can search, because sometimes it makes a big difference from Monday to Wednesday, or and then sometimes that flight that you liked with the short hour won't be on a Wednesday, but it will be on a Thursday.
Right.
So these are all the things to keep track of, that...
one day does make a difference.
Yeah,
you wouldn't think it would, but it does.
Yeah, it does. So those are the tips that we have to offer you today about choosing our flight. We have our flight. In a way, it's just easier for us to just go one way and then figure it out when we're going to come back. Because who knows? We might not ever come back.
That's true.
Anyway.
We hope this information is helpful to you, but bear in mind, again, everybody's situation is different.
The flights now, there's different rules and regulations all about the COVID.
And the new variant.
We're watching to see that, and that's another reason why we usually get a flight that we can cancel without a fee, or change, without a fee, because right now it's just too...
And we never used to do that, because there was never really many problems with flying, as everyone knows. And the last 2 or 3 years have been ridiculous. So you're better off to pay a couple extra dollars, whatever it is, and you can get your flight. You can cancel your flight, get your money back, get a credit, or whatever the case may be.
Some of the regulations is for this particular flight, we will have to get a PCR test, a COVID test.
Negative.
72 hours before, but I usually try to go even less than that, like more like 48, because sometimes, like, we'll leave on February 28th, but we'll arrive on March 1st, and we lose a day. And so I always try to keep that in mind. If we get stuck, like say your connection, I don't want to say, they'll say you need another test because it's now expired. Right. So I usually try to go way to the last minute before I get my test. And we've been vaccinated. So I thought we had to generate a QR code for that so it would be easier. which I was able to do. I mean, there's so many things you have to think about. Traveling at this time is not easy.
Nope.
It's pretty much, going to be a challenge. It doesn't mean that you can't overcome it, but you just have to be aware of the things that you have to do. And a lot of people are itching to get out. We're just watching Sicily, because that's where we'll be landing, to see if they're going to shut down through the winter. They probably will, but we're hoping by the spring things will open up again. So we'll see. We may have to adjust our time of arrival or whatever we have to do. We just have learned to be flexible in life, because it'll just drive you crazy if you don't, right?
Yes, it will.
So we hope all this has helped you, and we're happy to have you. Please subscribe if you haven't. It doesn't cost anything, and it really helps our channel. And we're still working on the drone.
Slowly.
We'll try to figure all that out so that when we get there and we do travel, we'll be able to show you some beautiful adventures from a beautiful perspective,
yes,
that you can enjoy. So ciao for now.
Ciao, ciao.
Love you guys. Bye-bye.